welcome into the CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live from Studio B of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. Got the full CHGO White Sox crew. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. And the man in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
And you can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. We're being produced today by Sarah.
Hi.
Hello. And make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. We currently have a real-life hockey player in Studio A. So
over there.
And surprisingly, he came to our work when it's negative 3 degrees out.
It's so cold.
I didn't want to come to work.
So cold.
Yeah,
negative. What was it yesterday morning? I woke up and it feels like was negative 30. No thanks.
Have fun.
That's bad.
Did you go out and get some McDonald's breakfast?
Absolutely not. I stayed inside. I stayed inside for like 3 straight days. It was pretty great. I'll tell you what. I don't mind the relocation to Studio B today because it's nice and toasty in here.
Mm-hmm. You had to take off your sweatshirt.
I did. I'm tanning in Studio B.
Sweating. We have, we have a show today. We have more updates on Dylan Cease. I don't think that we can be more informed on Dylan Cease, honestly, at this point. Maybe he'll get traded. Maybe he won't be. And then we'll jump into some international signings, some that we have known about and we can give a little bit more color to that have been announced. Some minor league signings, some pitchers that have been signed to the minor leagues for the Sox organization. And then finally, a little bit of the Mailbag Monday from our Discord. So make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button. Make sure you're hitting the subscribe button. And if you aren't yet, go sign up to be a diehard and to join our Discord. And it is a Joe Barlow emergency podcast. So thank you, Dan from the 219, for joining us. Dylan Cease. Ken Rosenthal put out a piece on Saturday. Bob Nightingale put out his usual Sunday notebook piece on Sunday. And two interesting, news and notes from both pieces. Ken, I think most interestingly, mentioned that the Dodgers were trying to send Michael Busch to the White Sox. So now we can kind of figure out that Ryan Pepiot is apparently an interest of the White Sox. He's now a Ray. Michael Busch was an interest of the White Sox. He's now a Cub.
Well, was he an interest of the White Sox, or was he an interest in the Dodgers getting rid of him?
Yes,
because it sure seems like the White Sox have a first baseman and weren't terribly interested in bringing Michael Busch aboard. According to what was written.
Yeah, before trading infielder Michael Busch to the Chicago Cubs, the Dodgers included him in some of their offers to the White Sox for Cease, according to sources brief on the discussion. So that's fair. The White Sox weren't including them, or not reportedly including Michael Busch in trade offers. But you'd think now with the move for Busch and Almonte, right, going to the Cubs, you'd think that the Dodgers have less arms or less things to deal from.
But I think also that deal was more of a Dodgers getting rid of 40-man space or opening up 40-man space for Dylan Cease to come to go to the Dodgers. Of course, they wanted him, but maybe the White Sox did not necessarily want Michael Busch as the return, as a 26-year-old third baseman / first baseman, where they have both of those covered so far. But they wanted a little bit more of what the Dodgers were offering, and they didn't see Michael Busch as one of the pieces to finish that trade-off. It just seems like the Dodgers wanted to trade those two guys off any way you put it, the Pepiot and then Michael Busch. They were offering him multiple teams. So I would have taken Michael Busch. He looks like a premium bat that's going to develop. I mean, some people are comparing him to Max Muncy, just blocked by the Dodgers' vast system. But I don't think if you're going with Pepiot and Michael Busch and then various other players, it probably wasn't enough for what the White Sox were looking for. I'm sure they would have taken Michael Busch, but I don't know what the rest of the trade looked like. If the rest of the trade was representative, I'm sure the White Sox would have pulled the trigger immediately.
Well, and I think what comes to mind, too, is at what point in the past 2.5 months are we talking about here with what Ken is reporting in terms of the specifics of a trade package? I mean, was it before the Dodgers went out and got themselves Yamamoto? Was it before the Dodgers went out and got themselves Tyler Glasnow? Or are the Dodgers still interested in paying Dylan Cease, quote-unquote, only $8 million to be part of a super rotation of sorts? I don't think any of us have counted out the Dodgers because, hey, not only are they the only ones making any big moves, but that price tag on Dylan Cease is just not that big of a deal for a lot of teams. And if they can go ahead and add that to their already ridiculous pile of riches, you'd think they would, and probably one of the few teams that maybe have the prospect capital to get the White Sox interested in making that swap.
And if they somehow still make a deal with the Dodgers, and Jackson Ferris is included, the guy that they just got from the Cubs, I'd be happy. 19 years old, top 5 prospect already, and a left-handed pitcher. That seems, like a guy that I'd like to watch as a lefty. So, I'd be fine if, maybe it was just a 40-man move. Maybe just a little maneuver, and they're sending Jackson Ferris back to Chicago.
Hey, that's
where his namesake Wheel debuted, so right, only makes sense.
And now they got Ferris Bueller on the fucking Dodgers.
Yes, they do. Probably never will pitch together though. But wasn't it rumored that also like the Dodgers were looking for another team to deal with the White Sox to do this, 3-team trade? So maybe this is just now that the Dodgers got what the Cubs are offering. As you said, maybe they're thinking about Ferris as a person that might be coming back for the White Sox if they want to do that. I think the Dodgers are set, but as Vinny says, you don't ever know if the Dodgers are set. These some bitches keep on doing things, and you're like, oh, again? Another person? Why? You have enough. Stop.
Yeah. Ken saying that their interest, waned as they signed Yamamoto to a $325 million deal. I guess their rotation's good enough. They might just have to go with Bobby Miller as their fifth pitcher and not a former top 2 finisher in the Cy Young and Dylan Cease. But interesting enough, Bob did have 2 pieces of notes to add to this conversation. White Sox asking price for Cease remains awfully strong. They are seeking prized Yankees outfield prospects Spencer Jones or right-handed pitcher Chase Hampton in their package, while asking the Baltimore Orioles for outfielder Colton Cowser or Heston Kjerstad among their prospects. And Bob also noting, which I think is probably most important, that the Mets seemingly are out on Dylan Cease.
I don't remember them being in. When were they in?
Well, I feel like we talked about them. I think before they signed Sean Manaea, there was a little murmur that maybe the Mets would just trade all of their prospects to get Cease.
They were going after Yamamoto, I think. So I think maybe that's where that came from. But yes.
But it's another team out of the running. And I really can only just put the Yankees and Orioles in the running, I guess, because the Dodgers were the other team that I thought might be interested. They obviously have the will, the way, the power. I mean, anything under the sun to get anything done. So I wouldn't really want to put it out of their powers to get Dylan Cease. But, I mean, as Ken's reporting, it does seem like their interest is waning. I mean, are there 2 teams right now in the Dylan Cease sweepstakes for the Orioles and Yankees?
I mean, I wouldn't put the Reds totally out of it, even though they balked at the price, because they still need a top-line starter for themselves, and that's not going to be gotten by going on the free agency market. Yes, I would say that the Yankees and the Orioles are probably – I think the framework for deals are pretty much set. It's just who wants to pull the trigger, who wants to blink first. And it seems like Chris Getz is not blinking. He's just going – he has it. He has his guy, and if you want him, this is the number. But I would say the Reds would be a team that would still be the sneaky mystery team, even though they put out there that this is way too much the White Sox are asking for. Seeing what the Cubs have done, we're getting Imamaga and then maybe re-signing Cody Bellinger might have some impetus and have them actually thinking like, okay, the Cubs are doing some serious things. If we need to stay in the Central, we need to make this move.
And real quick, just to add to the Reds discussion, because when we put together the list of top 5 teams, the GM of the Reds, Nick Krall, said the team is likely done with major signings, could still do some work in the bullpen or bench, and that was on January 2nd, 2024. So that really doesn't seem...
Show?
Huh?
Nick Kroll?
Nick Krall.
Oh, okay.
Krall.
It's like, wow, they're really going bottom of the basement for comedian Nick Krall.
RAWL. I mean, it's a young team.
CRALL.
No, I know, but like it's more said like Krall.
I see.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know about the Reds. It doesn't seem. I mean,
no, I don't think. I think the Reds went and got pitchers. Like they're not Dylan Cease, but they did go get pitchers. I mean, the thing that I keep thinking about when I hear the Reds is like, the Reds, really? Like, what are the Reds gonna do with like? If they get Dylan Cease, are they going to be the best team in the NL Central? Like, clearly? Like, I don't think so, right?
There'd be one of them.
They'd be in contention,
I mean, the Brewers are clearly taking a step back.
I mean, they're only a game behind the Cubs, I think. I think the Cubs 183. I think the Reds 182. And the Brewers, of course, are coming back. So.
I know they got all those exciting young guys, but I would imagine that most of those are part of the plan for the future over there. But
no Woodruff.
it doesn't seem like the Reds are, like you say, Sean, it doesn't seem like the Reds have much interest left in doing this. But again, that could all be tactics and whatnot. I think, Herb, yourself and plenty of other folks are trying to maybe find what team is capable of meeting that asking price. And I think the Reds probably come to mind with what their farm system looks like at the moment. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they want to part with all of those guys. And I mean, you can say the same from the Yankees, who we talked about a report last week in which they don't want to trade like any of their top 3 or 4 prospects after dealing so much to get Juan Soto. That's not likely to get you Dylan Cease, but heck, they've gone out and got some guys too. So it doesn't seem right now like anybody is jumping to try to meet that price tag. And we've got a question there. Is Cease being overvalued? I don't think in a vacuum he is, but it's never done in a vacuum, right? And the market determines the value on a guy more so than the actual quality of the player. And, it makes you wonder, is this just not the right market to get that deal done? Whereas, 7 years ago now, it was the right market for the Chris Sale trade. It was the right market for the Adam Eaton trade. It might not be the right market to get some team's top 3 prospects for Dylan Cease right now. Maybe come July it will be. But, right this second, it hasn't been that kind of market yet. And we'll see if the Orioles, who everybody keeps kind of circling as the last team standing maybe, want to part with the guys that Chris Getz wants them to part with. Because if they don't, then Chris Getz is just going further down the shopping list. What's the point of doing that necessarily if this is one of your few chances to really kind of boost the long-term health of this organization? So I think holding on to Cease until you get what you deem appropriate for him makes sense, but there is that chance that day is never going to come.
Do you think that these other general managers who are more veterans and into the game established are just trying to take advantage of a young general manager?
No.
Or just waiting him out?
No, I've seen that question from folks in the chat before. I've seen that. I mean, I know you've brought it up before. Chris Getz isn't like they grabbed him off the street and they're like, all right, run a baseball team. This guy's been an assistant general manager, the next guy down on the totem pole for quite some time. He's been in the Major League Baseball front office for 10 years now. I mean, it's not just some, kid who like people are going to run rings around because he has no idea how the industry works. Of course he knows how the industry works. Does it mean that he's going to get done everything that he wants to get done or that it's going to go exactly the way that he wants it to go? No, but you could point to Rick Hahn, who had the job for however many years, probably having the same, potential pitfalls, or even somebody who's been doing it way longer than Rick did it. Dave Dombrowski or some of the other kind of senior elder statesmen in the executive category as perhaps having similar pitfalls. So, I understand that folks would be like, oh, well, Chris Getz is in this chair for the first time. Obviously, it's not going to go well, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't think that has anything to do with it, to be quite honest.
We don't know. I mean, again, we haven't gotten I guess we've gotten closer to opening day, but so we don't know what the return's even going to look like. Again, Bob's saying that they have a high asking price right now. If they come down and instead of getting 3 top 100 players, they get 2 top 100 players and just 2 other prospects on top of that. Like, I don't know if that's really him getting hosed or, him getting screwed by a different GM. We don't know what the deal is going to look like. I don't even know if there's going to be a deal. Ellie's bringing up is Getz secretly waiting for the Orioles because they're the best farm system to trade Cease. We did bring up this from MLB.com, I think last week at some point, but MLB Pipeline's executive prospect polls, 79% of executives said that the Orioles had the best farm system. And then I think what was the other part? That 79% at least had the best farm system. Overwhelming majority, nearly 80% of baseball thinks that this is the farm system to be dealing with. So it does seem like the Orioles, I think that this is a team that you could play chicken with, because again, they've only added Craig Kimbrell. That's their one. They won 101 games. They added Craig Kimbrell. Like I don't. They
also won 101 games.
Right,
they've got team to begin with.
Right, but I don't know. I mean, like it seems like their biggest true addition will be Jackson Holliday making his major league debut. Like,
Why is that bad?
I don't know if it's bad, but I don't know if this team's truly pushing it, if they have tried to make their team significantly better, because they won 101 games. How far did they get in the playoffs?
Yeah, right.
So, exactly. I mean, right. I
won
feel
the same amount of playoff games as the White Sox did.
Good point. I feel like there's got to be some point or some instance where the Orioles, like, we have to get better. We actually have to become a World Series caliber team, because even though they won 101 games, they were extremely consistent. I never really thought of them as, like, the team. But none of us picked them to win the AL East last year.
100%. But where's the pressure for them to get better? There's no pressure for them. That's the first time they've done the AL East in however long. Fans are probably very happy, very pleased. Yes, the 3 games in the playoffs wasn't ideal. They get John Means back for a whole year. They get Bradish back for a full year and doing all these things. Maybe they're thinking, hey, Jackson Holliday, Gunnar Henderson, Santander, this whole lineup, we'll just run it back. We're better than we were last year. There's no way we could be worse. And who's like our O's fans saying, hey, man, we need to win the World Series now type of stuff. No pressure on the general manager. He just got a thing that they hadn't had in a long time. So I don't see anything where the O's are like, we have to get better, because they're theoretically getting better just by existing and those players getting older into the system. And so I can be that general manager and say, hey, man, we're good at where we're at, and we won't pay or overpay what we think is an overpay for Dylan Cease. They need to come down to us, while Chris is saying the other way around. Like, we don't need to trade him. We can just be chilling right here, and they're both seeing which one's gonna blink and which one's gonna say chicken.
And to your point, Herb, about the Orioles, look at the way the offseason has gone, right? I mean, yeah, the Yankees got Juan Soto. It's a big deal. The Yankees didn't even make the playoffs last year.
Nope.
What did the Rays do? They traded one of their starting pitchers away. The Blue Jays, I don't believe, have signed anyone of great significance.
I don't think so.
And are lost Matt Chapman.
IKF.
Exactly. The Red Sox just added
Giolito,
and who's the young kid from the Braves? Vaughn Grissom. I mean, what did the AL East do? Like, that arms race isn't materializing in the American League, right? Nobody in the Central has done anything of note. Or unless you want to talk about all the mad guys that the Royals signed. Nobody in the West has done anything of terrible significance, right? Except losing Shohei Ohtani.
And Mariners losing Eugenio Suarez.
Yeah, look to right on par with losing Shohei Ohtani.
Why don't you like Eugenio Suarez at the third base for the Mariners? Now he's at the Diamondbacks. You're not feeling that? That's a big loss.
Not Ohtani level necessarily.
No, I don't know. Nothing is Ohtani level.
But I guess my point is, like, if you're talking about the arms race, right? The Orioles need to get better because they need to beat who? The Dodgers once they get to the World Series already. I mean, that's the only team that's done anything huge. I mean, there's been teams that have made other moves, but nothing gigantic, right? I mean, so I think the point is relatively, fine in saying that the Orioles aren't being hugely pushed right now. And to begin with, they're already the best. They had the number 1 seed in the American League last year. So I think the Orioles are really good. I don't think could they use more pitching? Absolutely, they could. And so I think they'd love to have Dylan Cease. But again, are they going to do? And I've brought this up before. Are they going to trade the 2 guys that they think might be their 2 corner outfielders for the next 8 years?
I mean,
like, why? Right? I mean, they drafted those guys. They've brought those guys up. They know how good those guys can be.
That's fair, but you could also say the same thing with the White Sox. I mean, the team that was perpetually picked to be the World Series champion for all of this decade, and they won the AL Central in 2021. Yay! What happened in the next 2 years?
So you're going to trade your guys away because the White Sox were the Orioles
because
should
the
trade
White
their
Sox
guys
are
away
bad.
because the
But
White
I mean,
Sox
again, you could have all the hopes and dreams for a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old. I mean, it's not guaranteed that Colton Cowser is going to come up and hit 30 homers.
Sure, understood that, but think about that. Those people, they're not even counting on those people. They're not counting on Colton Cowser to do anything this year necessarily, or Heston Kjerstad. So they could just have that regular team that they had out there and then have all the reinforcements behind them and then do some things with another team that's ready to deal for plugging in a spot that they actually need. Because they could be thinking that Kyle Bradish, John Means, your guy, Grayson Rodriguez, Dean Kramer, that's enough. We're good. We're going to see leaps and bounds from all those guys, and we don't need Dylan Cease on the team. We want him? Yeah, great.
What happens if John Means gets hurt, though? I mean, John Means has been very inconsistently healthy.
Then guess what? They need Dylan Cease more than they did.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, right now, Herb's bringing up the point, like, well, Colton Cowser or Heston Kjerstad might not help you in 2024. That's what year it is. In 2024, but you're only going to have Cease for 2 years. You're only going to have Cease for 2024 and 2025. So what's more important, having Cease on your team in 2024 and 2025, or maybe having Colton Cowser contribute to your team?
That's what they're trying to figure out.
But also, they could be like, okay, we'll pivot from Cease and go, we can have these Heston Kjerstad, Colton Cowser talks with another team. Maybe you talk to the Milwaukee Brewers. Yes, it's only 1 year to get Burns on your squad.
Yeah, but you're going to give up Cowser and Kjerstad for only 1 year?
But
that doesn't make any sense.
Maybe they feel that Burns is more of a solid commodity than Dylan Cease is. And they can say that's a top of the rotation arm that we'll need for us. And only if it's 1 year, we'll be more apt to take him than we'll be apt to take Cease. Different people like different players. And in that farm system, in that scouting community, they might like Burns better than Cease, even though Cease has more years.
Sarah, real quick, can you scroll up into the chat? We're going to take a quick break.
Is there a football game on right now?
There is a football game.
Why?
Because they got postponed yesterday.
Oh, did they? Why didn't they postpone that stupid Chiefs game where everybody was freezing to death?
Because it was snowing.
It was on Peacock.
That's why they didn't postpone it?
Yes, because they had to make a bunch of money on Peacock, and everybody had to subscribe to it.
There was a state of emergency in Buffalo. There wasn't a state of emergency in Kansas City.
I mean, even though it was like negative 40 degrees, like, we're good. We'll play.
I just wanted to bring up a Grumpy Pig and Friends' comment. Asking too much for a guy who struggles to get out of the fifth inning and had one good year. League caught up to his changeup and struggles against teams outside the Central. He's a 3. God bless you, Grumpy Pig. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Dylan Cease threw his changeup 2.3% of this time in 2022 for a -4 run value, and then in 2023 threw it 3% of the time, and it gained 5 run value. So I don't understand that. Also, he pitched out of the fifth inning 5 1/3 and passed in 21 of his outings last year out of 32.
When you were growing up, Sean, did you ever think that you would say the phrase "God bless you, Grumpy Pig"?
Oh, probably, yeah.
You did?
Probably. I don't know. Let's take a break. Let's let people know about our friends over at Circa Sports and Circa Sportsbook. If you are looking to bet on the games that are going on, whether it was already pre-scheduled, like the Tampa Eagle game, or postponed, you can go live bet on the Bills and Steelers game. Thank you, Herb. With our friends over at Circa Sportsbook. Download the Circa Sportsbook app today. They have tight money line splits, a low hold model, where games will strive to be a -110 split on the Circa Sports menu, unlike other sportsbooks, which may use a -115 or -120 split. Circa Sports keeps as little money as possible on large market bets like futures, golf tournaments, especially compared to other books, which allows them to keep that low hold model. And Circa Sports does not limit players based on their winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. And Circa customer service is beyond beat. I don't know how to talk today. There are real people behind Circa Sports brand who resolve issues in a timely fashion, unlike other books who use chatbots. All aspects of the app are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. So download the Circa Sport Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app. That's circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537, text GMB 833-234, or visit areyourreallywinning.com.
As long as you're not driving, I want you to do something for me. Head on over to midtown.com/CHGO and follow along with me while I read this read so you can see all the amenities that Midtown Chicago and all the other 3 Midtown locations have. Their 4 locations are Palatine in the northwest suburbs, Bannockburn in the North Shore, Willowbrook in the southwest suburbs, Midtown Athletic Club and Hotel in the middle of Bucktown and Lincoln Park. And that Palatine Club I was talking about has launched a multi-million-dollar transformation of the club, which will be complete in early 2024. For that Palatine, Willowbrook, and Bannockburn locations, Midtown is offering no initiation fees this January. So you must hurry up. It's the 15th. The month is halfway over. Go there right now. Get yourself no initiation fees for the Bannockburn, Palatine, and Willowbrook locations, because there's something for everyone there at Midtown. If you're a single person, married with kids, person looking for lifestyle changes, or just looking for holistic wellness, because Midtown Chicago is the nicest fitness club that I've ever been to, and many have saying that because of the super luxe locker rooms, wet and dry saunas, and premium amenities, amazing indoor and outdoor pools and hot tubs, and a collection of boutique fitness studios with more than 100 classes. You can go to the arena, Samadhi, Everybody Fights, Ride, or the field or the theater, and get one of those 100 classes per week that they do have. But Midtown is known for their best tennis courts and programming in the sport. Midtown has indoor and outdoor tennis, paddleball and pickleball, tennis courts, USTA professional quality all the way. You're already at the midtown.com/CHGO, so why don't you just go there and find out which Midtown is close to you and take a tour, that one right now.
Again, head over to midtown.com/CHGO?
Correct.
There you go. To check out all of their options. Jared saying Bannockburn will ever be my favorite Midtown location as someone who isn't local. It's my favorite to say. Bannockburn.
Well, certainly once you learned how to say it.
Bannockburn. All right. So real quick, I want to answer Henry's question. I think I said Henry like a speech impediment. Henry, if Cease does well this season, they won't trade him. They'll extend him because they want to compete now. Henry, I'd hope and wish for that. I would love to see a Dylan Cease extension. I would love to stop talking about Dylan Cease being traded and talk about an extension. That'd be way fun to just completely flip the narrative. But it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen ever. To be blunt, I mean, that's not something that I would put like a 0.001% chance on happening.
Yeah, it's not just the White Sox thing, and I know people will blame the White Sox and their Scott Boras history, even though they just signed a Scott Boras client and Eric Fetty. But Scott Boras clients, for the most part, besides Steven Strasburg in my recent memory, all go to free agency. So, yes, Henry, I would love that. I know the White Sox would love that. Maybe Dylan Cease in the back of his mind would love that. But also, the White Sox can sign him after he becomes a free agent. Just he has to be competing with the 29 other teams in Major League Baseball. That's Scott Boras' MO. That's why we're still here in January 15th, and a bunch of Scott Boras clients haven't been signed yet because he gets every single cent for his clients. And so, yeah, that would be great, Henry, and I would love to. And as Sean said, I would love to stop talking about Dylan Cease, have a resolution either way. He's not getting traded. He's traded. But we know he's not going to get an extension. That's 100% not going to happen.
Well, it's just not really in line with where they are right now as a team. I mean, listen, if we were talking about this a year ago, it would make total sense because we were going into last season thinking that this team was going to be competitive, that this team was going to be at or near the top of the division and maybe still able to go up. Last season kind of changed everything. It cratered everything for this team. And right now you're seeing it with the moves that they're making, with the plans that they're making for the future. The best thing for this organization in terms of long-term health is either one of two things. Trade Dylan Cease and get some prospects, get some cornerstones to put on this team for the next decade, or invest the money in signing him to a really long-term deal, because you're seeing what free agent pitchers are getting on the market right now. And what did Jerry Reinsdorf say back in August when we sat there and talked to him? We're not signing any pitchers to any 10-year deals, is what he said. He's, being a little facetious there or hyperbolic perhaps in talking about the length of the contract, but then a pitcher went out and got a 12-year deal this offseason. So if Dylan Cease is going to ride that wave of long-term, really expensive deals for pitchers, that's coming up for him in just 2 years. So I think that the White Sox would be healthy long-term to keep Dylan Cease, because Dylan Cease is really good and not very old. But if they can get some pieces for him now that they can go ahead and put down as anchors on the diamond somewhere, if they're position players or pitchers if they're in the rotation, that makes it easier for them to continue to build out an entire roster versus spending a lot of money, perhaps the bulk of the money that they have appropriated for spending on free agents or players in general on one guy for the foreseeable future.
It does also seem like this will play out just with it seemingly being down to the Orioles and Yankees. It does seem like Dylan Cease will open up spring training with the White Sox. I don't think that the Orioles will pull the trigger at any point this coming up. I don't think the Yankees will either. Mainly because I find it weird that they want Chase Warren, according to Bob, Chase Warren or Spencer Jones. Like, I think you'd want Dominguez. I'd want Dominguez over
what
Jones.
What did we read last week? That the Yankees have no intention of trading that guy.
Right. No, I know, but I guess I'm in, like, what was but like if they're not interested in trading Jones, then they're not interested in trading Dominguez, then are they not, they're interested in trading Jones?
Said they didn't want to trade him either.
Yeah,
do they want to trade? Like, it just seems like we have to start the season, get teams to a point where, hey, we know where we're at for 2024. Now we can go make this move to put us over the top. It does feel like it's going to be something that happens in July or end August.
Well, and one point you made there probably really jumps out more than anything. Think how slow this offseason has moved, right? Mm-hmm. There's still teams out there who normally would have made moves that they haven't made yet a month ago, right? And had some certainty on where they were going. More certainty on where they were going a month ago. We're at a point where there's still a lot of big-name free agents out there, where teams haven't finished their work, where teams are kind of sitting and waiting to see what's going to happen. People don't really know what they're going to be maybe this year. And we've seen certain teams position themselves. Obviously, the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks come to mind, teams that have really gone out and been aggressive and, hey, we want to make sure that we're going to be in a position to contend next year. Whereas we just spent the first part of the show talking about an Orioles team thinking maybe they're okay, but maybe they're waiting to see. You know what I mean? And maybe they get to March and they're like, okay, maybe now we know that we need a little bit more here, a little bit more there. Or maybe they're like, well, we'll just see in July, because it's not like anybody else has made any moves around for us to say, ooh, we know that team's going to be a problem. We know that team's going to be a problem. The slow-moving offseason may be contributing to the fact that the teams might not want to part with their prospects for Dylan Cease rather than keep them in the market for him, so to speak.
And also, to speak to your point, Vinny, like, there's still an ace out there who's asking for more money. Blake Snell is out there, and he hasn't got a deal close to where he's wanted the deal to be. And he's trying to, he's begging the Yankees, but he's like, hey, I want to pitch for you. And the Yankees are like, yeah, here's a dollar figure. And then he's like, whoa, that's way too short. So that probably also could be holding up talks for Dylan Cease, because the Yankees are not sure if they're going to be signing another starter for the rotation, which they just got Marcus Stroman. And if they can get in Snell for the price that they want, they don't need Cease anymore. That would automatically drive the price down for Cease with the White Sox and dealing with the Orioles. Then you would only have one suitor available. So, yeah, I think that this market not being settled at the time that is January 15th, where it usually is kind of settled. You already pretty much know all the big players have fallen down. We don't know where Cody Bellinger's going. We don't know where Snell's going. There's so many other people out there that teams have budgeted for and haven't signed for yet. So it's hard for Dylan Cease to find a home because there's other big players and probably say better pitchers available than him right now.
18 players in 2023 are unsigned that had a season WAR of 1.5 or higher. So, I mean, you can get somebody who's just at least an average ball player out there. I mean, there's 18 of them out there, and that doesn't even include Woodruff, who you brought up, and Urias, who's now been cleared of his domestic situation back in September, or the DA said he wouldn't face charges. Yeah. I know, but it's just another interesting, situation, I guess, because I mean he's young. So it's just like, I don't
talented.
know. Right. You know, we obviously saw it with someone less talented last year, pitch for the White Sox and get a shot. All right. Let's take another break, and then let's jump into some international signings. We got AJ's question from the Discord, and we will talk about some minor league signings as well. All right. Let's get into letting you know, though, about our friends over at Empire. You guys ready to sing? 588-2300 Empire. I like what Alejandro says. He said you guys need a bigger table or just use one like a Motown group background singers.
Just one mic
that
comes in there.
With Empire today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire today is the best place to get new flooring. So, of course, they have copycats, but Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, and speed. So competitors advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who does is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs. Empire keeps shopping for floors simple with a curated product selection. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need and not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is just as important as what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles, and you can check out those styles with their virtual floor designer. It's a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. Just snap a picture of your room and instantly see how those new floors from Empire will change them. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details. Again, all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details.
FOCO! Guys, you've seen the bobbleheads out on our Studio A set. You've got Southpaw with the classic orange White Sox flag. You've got Tim Anderson being ghosted by a red line train. Those were donated to us by FOCO, and so you should go show them some love by getting fitted out in the best sports gear around. They've got hoodies, they've got shoes, they've got signs, they've got bobbleheads, of course, and everything in between. It's always baseball season, even when it feels like negative 30 outside. Aloha shirts, straw hats, polos, and that wonderful bag set for hopefully not this cold March 28th at the rate. Everything you could possibly need for a game. You've seen the bobbleheads that they've donated, so go check out FOCO.com or click the link in the description below. For all non-presale items, guys, you can use the code CHGO10 and get 10% off.
Thank you, Vinny.
You're welcome, Sean.
Let's jump in to some international signings. Future Sox and James Fox have done a great job covering it, and you can follow James at JamesFox917. The White Sox had a international signing budget around $5.5 million. I think they ended up spending $5.925. I don't understand how you can go 400 over the reported pool, but they did. So good job, White Sox. The main four prospects out of the 7 that they signed that are interesting are Eduardo Herrera, third baseman from Venezuela. He's 11th on MLB Pipeline's top international prospects. Then there's
the 11th ranked player in this year's class.
Yes. Then Jedrick Profar, shortstop from Curacao. He was ranked, I think, 66th by Baseball America for this current 2024 international prospects. And then Jesùs Primoli was the 72nd prospect that they signed. He is a third baseman, also formerly a catcher, I guess, from Venezuela. And then there's Orlando Suarez, right-handed Venezuelan pitcher who I Googled his name, and I found a TikTok where this guy was just like, there's the green screen TikTok effect. I don't know if you know about this.
I do.
Okay, you do. You don't. Where you basically just put a video behind you, and this man was speaking Spanish. And my Spanish is mal, no bien.
Yes.
But what I did know, what this man was saying was fuego. Very tall person, Orlando Suarez, is pumping like 95 to 97. So, hey, it's always interesting to see these guys sign because they're so young, they're so raw, they're so seemingly talented, and it's like, oh, okay, well, this kid who's 6'4" is easily going to come overseas and dominate. But it's a lot. I mean, a lot of these kids are 16, 17 years old, and now you're asking them to become professional baseball players. It's
a very, I mean, I would go as far to say the word confusing part of the game because, obviously these guys can be scouted. And they can be, it's not just the draft. You don't have to rely on where you're picking, right? You can sign these guys as long as you've got the money to do so. But again, you're right. These guys are teenagers. And I mean, listen, Rick Hahn was buried for so long for trading Fernando Tatis Jr. away for James Shields. Fernando Tatis Jr. was, 16, 17 years old when they made that trade? Mm-hmm. I mean, these guys that they're signing, some of them are younger than that. I mean, it is a... if you think the draft is a crapshoot where you're picking guys who have spent years playing high school ball in America or college ball in America, and you still have no idea what they're going to turn into, now you're talking about drafting guys that are 5 years younger than them in this kind of case. So. Yeah, it's worth paying attention to. Guys like James do a really good job following this stuff and trying to provide as much information as possible. But at the end of the day, you're right. You're asking us to project what a 15-year-old is going to become in the major leagues. Not only that, we use some of these rankings to try to figure out how good how good a player the White Sox got. I remember a few years back, they were getting routinely the numbers 1 and 2 and 3 players in an annual signing class, and where have those guys kind of ended up? I go to a guy like Yoelqui Cespedes, who I believe was the number 1 player in that class, and he's kind of, I don't know, has he stalled out in the minor leagues? Are we going to see him on the south side at all? You haven't heard his name in some time, and there's plenty of other guys that fall into that category as well. Certainly, folks did get to see Oscar Colas at the major league level last year. He was a little bit of a different case, obviously, but still, you could see how that didn't produce results immediately the way you wanted him to. So it is a tough thing to try to put the future of your franchise and invest in the future of your franchise on a bunch of guys who can't legally drive a car yet.
Yeah, thinking about Michael Rodolfo they signed when he was 16, stick figure. And now you look at Michael Rodolfo, he's not with the White Sox anymore. He's playing in the Caribbean World Series, built as hell. So, like, that is one thing that...
But not for a major league team.
Not for a major league team. But that's the things you have to go through. Like, you have to see, like, he was a number 2 overall international prospect signing. At the time he was signed by the White Sox. It just didn't work out for Michael Rodolfo because of he was kind of good when he was a youngster, and they thought development would happen and he'll be a major league player. It's a crapshoot. I mean, this whole thing is very, very complicated. I want to know, like, the international signings usually only happen in, like, Latin America. Like, there's more countries than just the Latin American countries, but also Curacao and fucking Dominican Republic. Those countries are this big, and they keep on producing Major League Baseball talent, which is amazing. And the player that the White Sox signed with Profar, that's, of course, Jerickson Profar's younger brother, which that small-ass country of Curacao. Andrew Jones, him, Henley Mullins, Jonathan Scope, all come from that country. Pretty much the same city.
And all of them played for the damn Little League team.
Yes. It's weird as hell. Like, how, like, Dominicans this big. Everybody here in Major Leagues is fucking from Dominican Republic. Congratulations. We need a better development system here in America because they are embarrassing us.
I mean, it's just a big-ass country. There's 50 states.
We should do what they do.
So, just to give some color, Profar, obviously, as you brought up, Jerickson's little brother, some reports saying he's got 2020 potential. He's also 16, so we'll see.
He's got to get to 20 before he has 2020 potential.
Exactly. Eduardo Herrera is the key piece of this prospect signing, and Michael Suero of Sox on 35th wrote up about Edgar, and a good comp if you want to hear about it. So the shortstop turned third baseman has drawn comparisons to a teenage
Yoan Moncada.
No, not Yoan Moncada. He's not a switch hitter, so this guy's just a righty.
I think I already know the answer.
6'2", 200-pound, hulking frame.
I've read this. You just want me to say it?
Just say it.
Albert Pujols.
So
he's going to play shortstop?
Well, no, he was a former shortstop, former catcher, too, because of his arm. But now, since he is so big, he's just outgrown the shortstop position. Like Albert Pujols was always the most athletic person on the field. He was just, 245 pounds and made a muscle. And like Pujols, Herrera moving to third base. Pujols was, a corner outfielder and a third baseman when he first came up to the major leagues and then made the move over to first base. He became more hulkingly and terrorizing on his way to 7 career home runs. But Herrera is the White Sox highest-ranked international prospect since Oscar Colas, who was ranked 5th in MLB Pipeline's 2022 international class. However, Herrera is the highest-ranked true amateur signing in some time, as they typically have targeted older prospects who have seen closer to MLB ready. In fact, the Sox have only signed 4 prospects since 2013 who are 18 years old or younger and ranked on MLB Pipeline's top international prospect list. Eric Hernandez in 2022, who was 28th on the list. Armando Nunez in 2014, who was 26th on the list. And Mike Rodolfo in 2013, who was 2nd on the list. There was also one more name. Fernando Tatis. So, Mike Rodolfo, yes, hasn't had major league success. Amado Nunez didn't have major league success. Eric Hernandez didn't have major league success.
Yet.
Fernando Tatis signed a $300 million contract.
Eric Hernandez is still less than
young.
20 years
yes,
old.
Yeah,
right,
Eric Hernandez is 18.
Yeah.
Yes. But he's struggled. It's his 19th birthday today.
Hey, congratulations being old.
Eric Hernandez, thank you. 25 games in 2023 down at the ACL. 145 average, 295 on base, 210 slugging, 505 on base. Hopefully he's a defender.
Still 2 years younger than the average age of that league.
Yes.
So, yeah, he's still got time to come up. But to give the White Sox some credit, I think Fernando Tatis wouldn't have been the player that he was here with the White Sox because of various things, one including the ringworm treatment he's gone through. Ringworm.
Okay. All right. I mean, was he on ringworm last year? He seemed pretty fine.
Hey man, he's already. You get to a level and then you stay at that level.
I don't
Go
know.
from a skinny kid to a bigger kid.
Is he like the best defensive outfielder in baseball by like a mile and a half?
He is.
Statistically,
he was a butcher at shortstop. They're like, let's send him to right field because we got a better shortstop here in both Kim and now that they got I forgot the guy's name. But yeah, Fernando Tatis, his arm has always been that guy. And his tracking skills in right field, yeah, he was like a 20 plus 29 in the fielding Bibles, outs above average.
Jesus Christ.
He was just a phenomenal right fielder.
Who are the White Sox signed to play right field this year?
Who have they signed to play right field? They have not signed anyone to play
minor
right
leaguer
field.
Brett Phillips.
Cool.
And then the
Rafael Ortega.
Yes.
Fun.
Former Cub.
Fun.
Oh, that's a nice transition, Sean,
Oh,
into our next conversation topic.
is it? I don't get
Minor league signgnings?
Oh,
like
okay.
Rafael Ortega?
Minor league signings. Duh. I guess we didn't bring up the Rafael Ortega signing. They signed Rafael Ortega to a minor league deal with I guess a big league spring training invite.
That's been assumed. None of that has been announced yet, but yeah.
Is this the right fielder that Chris Getz was referring to?
I can't imagine it would be.
You can't, or like you'd be so shocked.
I would be so shocked if their plan going into spring training was a minor league signing.
That'll be terrible. And White Sox.
But what if it's a couple minor league signings, like Brett Phillips and Rafael
That
Ortega?
doesn't mean anything.
White Sox Tom, it's not the same thing.
Now listen, they could end up that way by the end of spring, right? Oh my God, Rafael Ortega hit 10 home runs in Cactus League play. He's running away with the right field job. Fine, that is something that could exist in some universe. But to go into spring with the plan being that one of these guys you signed on a minor league flyer is going to be your everyday right fielder, that doesn't seem accurate to me.
It's real tough.
I mean,
stop it. You're trying to make a case for Rafael Ortega.
No, I'm not.
Aren't you?
I'm just trying to look at his numbers. I mean, this is a guy that we used to produce on the Score.
Yes,
so
did.
you know, he's a guy that was over at the on the north side, and you know, I mean, I got to see a couple Rafael Ortega homers.
Very few. What do you got to see 2 of his like 5?
No,
Congratulations.
He hit way more than
He hit a bunch, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he's not that bad.
I seem to remember during the 21 when he was on the Cubs?
Yeah, 2021.
I seem to remember going a couple times, man, who is Rafael Ortega that's hitting all these homers?
He had 11 home runs.
823 OPS. Let's go. 11 home runs and then 7 home runs the next year. So, you know, hey, we got something.
It's a flyer. It's fine. It's ultimately probably won't work out. But yeah, if that guy does, like Vinny says, hits 10 home runs in spring training, I won't be excited about it unless he continues that in the regular season. Then we see Oscar Colas hit the cover off the ball a couple years ago.
Oh, remember who hit a bunch of home runs in spring training, 2 or 3 years ago?
Matt Davidson?
Well, I was going to say the guy we just were talking about, Mike Rodolfo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
didn't he have like 8 or like 12 or something in spring training? And they were like, yeah, no, go back to the minors.
Yeah, we're good.
I would have been fine to see that happen. I mean, did he hit that many home runs?
You got to look up you have to go to MLB.com to look up them spring stats.
Spring training does not have any minor league stats.
Well,
he
not in
does.
2023. He didn't.
He was an independent player. He played,
here we go.
I think he played against the Savannah Bananas.
So he had 2 home runs.
Okay,
Not
go
11.
to the
Did
year
you say
before
11?
That. Go to the year before.
You're
that.
talking about
he
in
had
spring training.
Two career spring training home runs.
And
he hit them all in 2022. Well, I think you're just thinking that he had a 1283 OPS plus. He had 10 hits in 23 at bats, and he had 2 doubles, 2 homers, walked 3 times.
So he had a very good spring.
Yeah,
but he did not hit very many home runs.
435.
That was the Yoelqui Cespedes spring as well, right? The year that he was tearing it up.
Hey, maybe he'll be the right fielder. All right, I think that's gonna do it. Well, we
have a question to answer.
Jake, we got Jake. I'm sorry, we got Jake Woodford and Joe Barlow. Michael. I'm sorry, I'm not bad with the Polish names. Kolach.
Let's go with Kolach.
Kolach.
Sure.
Keeping with the Royals tie, Joe Barlow was signed today on a minor league deal. The new Chicago Royals. Vinny, you're trying to escape the narrative, but Joe Barlow coming in with his 12 games down in Omaha in 2023.
You're grasping, White Sox Nation. You're grasping.
Mainly been a Texas Ranger. He's a righty with a fastball slider combo. Not a starter in any way. Hasn't topped out over 59 innings in a minor league season. We talked about Jake Woodford, I think, for a little bit, but nothing major in Jake Woodford. They might be able to get some innings out of him. He's been able to eclipse 100 before, but that was pre-2019. So
I think they're just trying to fill out the bottom of the roster because it was so barren last year and the years before. And I was listening to Brian Bannister on the Baseball Isn't Boring podcast. It seems like he's already in for a rebuild. He didn't say the words, but these signings seem like it's like, all right, we need just major leaguers who can pitch down in the minor leagues. 4A players, whatever you want to call them, because the White Sox haven't had those guys in a while. And since so these are the signings you get. So it doesn't sound sexy, but they're trying to build a base, a foundation. And so then after that, they can build up from that because they don't have players that can pitch in Charlotte, as you saw last year and the year before.
Hey, we've talked about it plenty of times. You know, it's one thing to see some of these starters who struggled last year as they've started to now fill out the rotation or at least provide volume for the rotation a little bit and be skeptical that you're ever going to see them at the major league level. But a reliever who 2 years ago was a closer in Major League Baseball, I mean, their bullpen is still pretty empty. You know what I mean? They've gone out and they've got Tim Hill, but other than that, they haven't really made any additions to the bullpen. So when you see a deal, I let's put it this way. I'm far more interested in the Joe Barlow minor league deal than I am in the minor league deals that have gone to some of the starting pitchers.
because you think Barlow will contribute to the major league team, or
I think he very well could. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
just because there's nobody else to stop him from doing it at the moment, the way the roster is currently constructed, right?
Right. I mean, we haven't really heard much on what their philosophy is going to be in 2024. If they will be more like San Francisco was, using a ton of openers. Like, do we think that this is going to be a traditional 5-man rotation? Will they extend it to 6? I mean, I know you were interested in what Bannister had to say about Kopech. I mean, maybe they find out that he needs 6 days of rest instead of 5 days of rest, like a normal starter, or 4 instead of 5. Maybe they figure that out during spring training. Like, I don't know what this is going to look like. So, I mean, hey, just sign as many minor league invites as you can.
Throw it all at the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what sticks. Brian Bannister is big on just trying to figure out like what makes a pitcher effective. And Jake Woodford and Joe Barlow really have never been effective in their career. Joe Barlow over the past 2 years has lost like 2 miles per hour on his fastball. So maybe part of the resurgence for a guy like Joe Barlow, if there is one, is regaining velocity. Jake Woodford was very heavily reliant on a 4-seam fastball up until 2022, and then he started heavily mixing it into a sinker. Used it about 38% of the time in 2022, and then up to 50% in 2023. I don't know if maybe there's something with the fastball that they can just maybe change the vertical attack angle, just basically the length of window to actually swing at a ball. Right, like a high ride fastball. It's got a very low VAA.
Yeah.
If a guy doesn't have, like, Michael Kopech has high spin, so he can throw high fastballs at the top of the zone because they're hard to actually like square up and hit. Now Jake Woodford has low spin. Michael Kopech has a very active spinning fastball, like 99 percentile. Jake Woodford's like 81 percentile. So maybe you're trying to go into the low spin on Jake Woodford. I don't know. I'm trying to understand all this shit, like Brian Bannister, and there's a reason he has a job with a major league team, and I'm here with you, gentlemen.
I mean, he's had a whole lifetime of listening to his dad, doing his own thing, being at USC, being in Boston, Kansas City. Like, so, yeah, he knows a lot because he was born into it. So, yeah, and he gobbles that shit up, too, loves analytics.
Hey, I mean, he's been doing all this stuff since 2006. I mean, since Pitch FX came out, Brian Bannister's been grinding. So, I don't know. That's probably the most interesting thing that's happened with the White Sox, and we got about a month away until we get to see it all take place. Like, we're just in no man's land. It's freezing cold. It's happy MLK Day, and we have no baseball to talk about until 30 more days.
A month, are you right?
Yeah,
about a month. When the folks go down there, pitchers and catchers report down to Glendale, Arizona. Excitement.
Fun.
They'll warm us up here by proxy, like, knowing that somebody else is hot, like Vinny's going to be hot, and we're going to be cold.
Speaking of warming us up, let's go to the final question. AJ with a Mailbag Monday question. Favorite White Sox piece of apparel you own for each of you? Appreciate AJ with the question, and you could join our Discord over at ALLCITY.com. If you become a diehard, you get a free shirt when you sign up. You get access to our Discord. You get exclusive diehard articles as well that are posted up on our website. But do you have a favorite piece of apparel that you own? I said warm me up because mine's my jacket. My dad gave me 2 White Sox jackets. One's a leather one that's like cut in half, like one side's black, one side's white. It's got like a nice White Sox logo on the back, and then the other one's kind of got like a nice felt material it's made out of.
It's all very 90s.
Very 80s, 90s starter jacket era. So shout out to my dad.
I would say I have a White Sox white home vest from the championship years of 2005 that I got from Triple Threat Sports, our guy Chris Hubble. It's way too big for me now. It was way too big for me back then. I think it's like a 5X. At best was a 3X, so it drapes me. I barely wear it anymore because it has a mustard stain on it, but I love those jerseys. I don't know whether they can't come clean. Like I've been trying everything. Yes, your Tide Pod. Yes, everything you've done. Jerseys don't come clean. I need to go into the White Sox clubby and ask him what he does. But yeah, that White Sox vest, they should bring those back.
Hey, well, giveaway. The vest.
It's a giveaway this year, absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, hopefully they get to actually bring it out on the field. I'd love to, take Chris Sale's scissors and cut up those sleeves and let's get the vest on the field.
Well, next year probably 20-year anniversry.
Are we really
it's the
celebrating
same jersey? It just doesn't have sleeves.
It's pretty sick. Do you have any apparel? I mean, I know you're not like a White Sox fan.
No,
you're a big J
I
journalist.
get a lot of the giveaway stuff, and a lot of that I then continue to give away to various White Sox fans that I know. My wife always claims the sweatshirts. She likes the sweatshirts that they give out. I'll say this: the best piece of White Sox apparel that the White Sox have worn, in my opinion, I love those red pinstripe jerseys from the 70s and the accompanied red hat. I think that's fantastic.
The Dick Allens.
The Dick Allens, exactly.
I was thinking
the Belton Bills. Yeah.
Bill Melton, as you inducted him into the Ring of Honor on Friday. Go check out that episode too if you're looking for more White Sox content, maybe more evergreen content. We didn't boo Jerry Krause's wife on Friday's episode, so go check that out. We talked mainly about the White Sox Ring of Honor and what we would like it to look like. That is Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. That is Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Ackerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. And thank you to Sarah for producing us.
I was just about to say my favorite White Sox thing I own, because I only own one thing. It is a magnet from the stadium. First time I ever went to Guaranteed Rate, I bought a magnet.
Hell yeah. Does it say my first time at Guaranteed Rate Field, or is it just like...
No, it's just a Sox jersey magnet. But I look at it every day.
Sleeves or no sleeves?
No sleeves.
Oh.
No sleeves?
Vest magnet.
Vests. And to answer Vadon's question, any news on who's replacing Jason Benetti?
No.
No.
Not yet.
It's going to March 28th just show up and somebody, I'm the guy. Or girl.
It's just going to be Steve Stone. Anyways, that's going to do it. We'll be back here at 3:30. As Melissa says, stay warm. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.